All right. So there's this global fight league that the internet is talking about. Can it succeed? Well, let me break it down for you in 5 seconds. I don't know. I think it's highly unlikely. We see a lot of these fighting leagues come up and then go down, and it is apparent that the UFC is the one that tends to keep itself afloat. I don't know how. They have a lot of funders. They have a lot of stuff going into them. So it's hard to get a fight league off the ground. We all remember Eagle FC, which actually had Kevin Lee in it. And Khabib thought he could start a fighting league himself. He should probably stick to wrestling and coaching because there's a lot that goes in. It's a whole different game when it comes to running a fighting league like the UFC. He thought it was going to be as successful, and you can't hate him for dreaming big, but I give GFL probably 2 events before we can make a call. I don't want to say nay, but I'm going to have to wait to see a little bit more till I fully believe it and fully am on a hype train for this thing. But I did see the names that they're signing. You have a lot of OGs. Frank Mir is also one of them, which is interesting because I never thought he would fight again. And there were a lot of potential matchups that could possibly happen. Now, the thing that I was originally going to go based off of this was, I think Luke Rockhold versus Alexander Gustafsson would probably be the best matchup at light heavyweight because Luke Rockhold has been at light heavyweight before, and Gustafsson is a light heavyweight fighter. And those guys are both kind of past their prime, seeing where Luke Rockhold has been in his career, where Gustafsson has also been. Because Gustafsson has had a lot of L's in the UFC at the end of his career to the point where you could tell he's kind of past it a little bit. He's not the fighter he once was. But if you compare it to Luke Rockhold right now, I think that's a good matchup to make. It would have been a little bit more exciting if you had both those guys in their prime. Maybe Gustafsson would have won, but it's also a winnable fight for Luke Rockhold, even in my opinion, despite where Luke Rockhold's career is at right now. So there's a lot of things that they can match up. But I think some of the things that could help this organization get off the ground, other than just, signing older fighters, have newer fighters come in to fight the older fighters, because obviously, you're going to have a lot of normies who are just going to come in and watch UFC. So you're really going to need to find something spectacular to stand out. Now, also, here's another idea that could help it out. Jake Paul said he wanted to do the PFL. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I think if you brought the Paul brothers in somehow, you're going to see a lot of people want to go in after that, and you're probably going to see a lot of people want to buy those pay-per-views or whatever it is you're selling, because I think having some rage bait in there might actually be really good for the thing. Get a little bit ridiculous maybe. Do it at your own risk. I know they're obviously not going to take my word for it, but it does seem like it could have promise. I'm just saying it could. But I've seen so many come up and come down that I'm just expecting failure at launch. It sounds pessimistic. I don't like to be like that on this channel. But it's I'm going to have to see the first couple fights and the first couple cards and see how they do before I'm okay, yeah, this has a lot of potential. It's all just going to be a matter of time. But we've all seen, Eagle FC. I think there was supposed to be a Gamebred FC. Even Bellator is kind of over at this point. I think Patricio Pitbull is actually going to the UFC. That might actually be a really good one. Who else from Bellator could possibly go in? I think Henry Corrales would be a really good pick to go into the UFC. But I think, maybe if they go into GFL or something like that, if any of those guys fly under the radar, they might be able to bring some names. But it's also harder because you have a lot of, like I said, normies who only know the UFC, and there's some hardcore ones who know all of the commissions and all the Bellators and all the UFCs and all the ones and everything like that. So that's the thing, is it's just like they're going to need to really pull something out and mix and match if they're going to really want to succeed. But that's my thoughts on it. We'll have to wait and see. I don't want to be a pessimist, but my expectations are low. Peace out.